everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. This is Irene, Senior Company Secretarial Manager from PREMIA TNC. Today, we are going to share with you all about the Hong Kong company formation and maintenance. During our webinar, have any question, you may drop your message on the chat board at the right-hand side. We will answer the question in Q&A section at the end of today's webinar or share the relevant information afterward. And you can also click the live chat wrap button on the top to make an appointment with us for further discussion or consultation. Here is an agenda of today's webinar. Firstly, there are several types of entity can be registered to start a new business in Hong Kong. Show proprietorship. This type of business entity is for small-scale one-man type business only, very simple to set up with lower profit tax rate. However, there is no protection of personal assets and its owner personal liability is unlimited. Partnership. This is established and co-owned by two or more people who join together to carry on a business with the view of sharing profit. Partnership enable to sharing of responsibility and a business to raise capital. However, it doesn't have the separate legal entity, so the partners are jointly and individually able for the debt and liabilities of business. There are two-tier tax rates of the unincorporated entity. The first 2 million Hong Kong dollar of the assessable profit, the tax rate is 7.5%. If the assessable profit up over 2 million Hong Kong dollar, the tax rate is 15%. For the limited company, there are two types: a company limited by shares or a company limited by guarantee. In this table is the requirement for set up company limited by shares, and I will explain more because this is the common type to set up business in Hong Kong. Company limited by shares. The liability of the shareholder are limited to the capital originally invested. This is a separate legal entity. Therefore, protect the personal assets of shareholder from the business liabilities. There is no nationality requirement, and non-Hong Kong resident can be 100% own the company. Also, the finder is not required to physically visit Hong Kong for the company setup. The whole procedure can be done by online submission and paper filing. Later, I will let you know about more the key facts for the formation of this type of company. Under the company limited by guarantee, the liabilities of its members is limited to each article of association to the amount which the members has undertaken to contribute should be the company will be wound up. The company limited by guarantee are usually formed for non-profit making purpose. This is unable to authorize the payment dividend or to contribute profits to its members. This is requesting to arrange annual audit and filing of annual return, as well as other reports or returns as requested by other government officers. The public limited company can offer its shares and debenture to the public, and its shares can freely transfer. It can have more than 15 shareholders. It's easy to raise capital or more likely to attract capital and investor. On the other hand, Hong Kong Public Limited Company raise up funds from the public, so this is subject to the related rules and regulations. In Hong Kong, the majority of companies are registered as company limited by shares, and this is the most common type of entities used for SME business or the trading companies in Hong Kong. The following part, I would like to introduce to you the key facts and the information about setting up this private limited company by shares. For the company name, you can design your own name and the company can be incorporated with either an English name, a Chinese name, or both. Basically, a company name is not permitted if the name already registered by the existing company. There are also restrictions on the use of certain words in relation to government bodies or the licensed activities. For the company name, in the English name, it must be ended with limited, and the short form Ltd is not accepted. Every private limited company must have at least one director, who is a neutral person at least 18 years old, and there is no nationality requirement and no legal maximum for the number of directors. In addition, the sole shareholder can be appointed as director of the company as well. A corporate can also be appointed as corporate director of the company, but still there must have at least one neutral person be an individual director. For the shareholder, the private company limited by shares must be at least 1 member and maximum 15 members. The shareholder can be an individual or the corporate of any nationality, while this is prohibiting any invitation to public to subscribe of any shares or debenture because of private company. Meanwhile, a director and shareholder can be the same or the different person. 100% local or foreigner shareholding is also allowed. For the company secretary, every private limited company is required to appoint a company secretary. The company secretary must be the Hong Kong resident or the body corporate having their registered address in Hong Kong. If a company has only one director, that person cannot be also as the company secretary. The company secretary is responsible for the company compliance with its statutory duties. If you have no experienced staff who can handle the company secretarial issue, you may look for the professional service provider which hold TCSP license. A local Hong Kong address as a registered office address in Hong Kong company must be provided to the company registry. This address must be a physical address and must not be a PO box address. For the bank account opening, in general, once the company is incorporated, the company will open bank account for the business operation purpose. Here we will share some basic information when applying for the corporate bank account in Hong Kong. Please note that the standard and requirement may a bit different and then subject to each bank policy. Basically, the bank will check all of corporate customers on their background about KYC, Know Your Customer, and KYB, Know Your Business. For KYC, they will check with all of director, shareholder, and authorized signatories requesting their identity documents and the latest address proof, as well as the corporate document such as CI and BR and etc. Moreover, the bank will request for the business proof to understand KYB. If you have your own existing business, you may provide the latest business proof like invoice or contract with shipping document if you are doing the trading business. In case the Hong Kong company is your new startup business, You can provide a supporting document explaining your relevant background, experience, and connection in the industry. In general, the whole procedure will take around 1 month, and exact time frame is subject to each bank policy. If the bank requests additional information or the document during the application review, it will take more time. Once the company incorporation is complete, the officer should take care of the company annual filing to ensure the company compliance in the good standing. In Hong Kong, the majority company are registered under the company limited by shares, and a Hong Kong company is required to take care of the reporting and filing requirement for the company every year under the company audience and inland revenue audience. According to the company audience, every Hong Kong limited company has to file the annual return regularly every year. The annual return is used to call Form NAR1, and this is a report to notice to CR of the updated information of the company and then the company structure. Whether the company structure has changed or not during the years, this is required to file the annual return with the latest company structure within 42 days from the anniversary date. For any late filing, there will be a government penalty imposed on the company. If the company is dormant and has been delivered the notice with registrar, the company will be exempted to filing any return with company registry. For business registration certificate, business operator may select for issue of the certificates that are valid for 1 year or 3 years. Regarding renewal of the business registration certificate, the business registration renewal demand note will be sent to the business address of the company before 1 month of the current one expire. The demand note will display the business address, business name, day of payment, and the valid period. The company should settle the payment with IRD within 13 days from the anniversary date in order to obtain the updated certificate. Also, the company should inform IRD of any change of the BR particulars, such as change of the business address, change of nature of business, commencement of business, and etc. The business registration fee amount may be adjusted by the Hong Kong government in the different financial years, and it should be renewed on time to avoid any penalty. For the tax reporting, the company should get its first profit tax return within 18 months after the date of incorporation date, and each subsequent PTR filing for the company will be covered 12 months and should be filed annually. For corporation, the profit tax rate for the first 2 million Hong Kong dollar of the profits earned is 8.25%. The profit above 2 million Hong Kong dollar earned by a company will be subject to the tax rate 16.5%. For the first PTR, the company is required to arrange filing within 3 months from the issuing date. At the same time, the PTR should be submitted with the supporting documents such as audited financial statement. For the subsequent filing will be depends on the year-end date. For example, if the accounting year-end date between 1st of April to 13th November, the filing deadline will be 2nd of May of the following year. The accounting year-end date between 1st December to 31st of December, filing deadline will be 15 August of the following year. The accounting year-end date between 1st January to 31st of March, the filing deadline will be 15 November on the same year. Therefore, the filing date of PTR for each corporate will be different. For the employer return, the company should an obligation to file the employer return to Inland Revenue Department for all its employees annually, no matter the employee's retaining service in or outside Hong Kong. The employer should report all employees' personal particulars, remuneration paid to the employees in the relevant year of assessment. For the newly set up company, employer will receive the employer return between 3 to 6 months after filing their first audited financial statement. In general, the employer return will be delivering to the company by IRD on first working day of April every year, and the company should report the return within 1 month after the issuing date. For the employer application, the employer have to maintain the payroll record of the employee and keep this record for at least 7 years. Keep the updated employee personal particulars and inform IRD when any change of the particulars or the terms of employment. Also, the employer tax application commences when you hire the first employee. Regarding the annual general meeting, AGM, under the company audience, a company must hold AGM in respect of each financial year of the company instead of in each calendar year. For the newly incorporated company, the company should hold the first AGM on 9 months after the first anniversary of the company incorporation, or 3 months after the end of that account reference period, whichever is later. For the ongoing company, the company should hold the AGM on 9 months after the end of its accounting reference period. For example, the company financial year end assess 31st of March, the AGM should hold not later than 31st of December on the same year. If the company financial year end assess 31st of December, the AGM should hold not later than 30 September on the following year. About the AGM, the company should send the notification of AGM schedule with all members at least 21 clear days. If the notice shorter than 21 clear days, must agree by all the members entitled to attend and vote at the meeting. Also, there are some situations may exempt to hold an AGM on each financial year. Under the company audience, a company is not required to hold an AGM if everything done by written resolution and the documents are provided to all members of the company. Also, if the company is only the single member, they is not required to hold an AGM. For the company audience, also allow a company to dispense with holding AGM by written resolution or the resolution at a general meeting passed by all members. This is also exempt a dormant company from the requirement of hold AGM. For this part, I would like to share the latest update of the company regulation with you is regarding the new inspection regime. The personal information contained in register maintained by company registry are open for public inspection. The personal information including the usual residential address of director and full identification number of director, company secretary, and other individuals such as liquidators and provisional liquidators. To protect the personal information, relevant provision of the company audience regarding new inspection regime has been passed. For the implementation of this new requirement, there have total 3 phases. Phase 1, from 21st August 2021, the company may replace usual residential address of director with their correspondent address and replace full identification number of directors and company secretary with their parcel identification number on their own register for public inspection. For Phase 2, from 24 October 2022, the protected information of the director and other individual will be replaced with correspondent address and parcel identification number for proper inspection. The protected information contained in document filed after the commencement of this phase will not be available for proper inspection. For Phase 3, from 27 December 2023, the data subject could apply to the registry for protecting from proper inspection their protected information contained in the document filed with the registry, and then replace such information with their correspondent address and parcel identification number. The specified person could apply to the registry for access with withhold information of director and other person. Phase 2 for new inspection regime has been commenced on 24 October 2022. Under this phase, the usual residential address and full identification number on the index of directors on the company registrar are replaced with the correspondent address and parcel identification number for proper inspection. The company register office address will be regarded as a correspondent address of the director. For every Hong Kong company, should ensure that its register of director will contain the correspondent address of all neutral person director before its first annual return date on or after the commencement date of Phase 2 on 24 October 2022. In addition, if the correspondent address of company's director is not the company register office address, this is required to deliver a Form ND2B to the company registry regarding the director's correspondent address within 15 days after the commencement date. To facilitate the implementation of Phase 2, Company Registry has revised the 26 specified form which pertain to the protecting of protected information for use started from the effective date. The major change in this revised form including the modification of the relevant theme for reporting correspondent address of director and parcel identification numbers of director, company secretary, and any others individuals. Also, introduce of a form PI sheet to individual form for reporting protected information of each of those individuals. The PI sheet will not be made available for the public inspection. The company should keep its update particulars with registry. If there is no any other change for the particulars, and the company may deliver the notice in the form notice of change in particulars of the company's secretary and director within 15 days after the change. According to the Phase 2 of the new inspection regime, the company should deliver the notice after the commencement date if the director's correspondent address is not the company register office address. For the company search, the protected information contained in the document filed after the commencement of Phase 2 will not be provided proper inspection. The revised version of the form will contain the PI sheet to each relevant form for reporting the protected information of individual, and this PI sheet will not be able for the proper inspection. Since the protected information is no longer For proper inspection, once the phase 2 effective, here you can see there have 10 type of person can be accessible. So that's the end of today's presentation. I hope the information is helpful for you to understand about Hong Kong company. So let us to review the pre-question from the customer first. So what is the tax rate of the Hong Kong company? So this depends on the type of the company. For the private limited company by shares, there is 2 tiers, the tax rate. The first 2 million Hong Kong dollar accessible profits, the tax rate is 8.25%. If there are over 2 million Hong Kong accessible profit tax, then the tax rate will be 16.5%. So the next question is, I'm not the Hong Kong resident. Can I own my company in Hong Kong? Yes, you can 100% own your company in Hong Kong, and there is no restriction on the nationality to set up company. So the next question is, whether I should visit Hong Kong for company information. How about the bank account opening in Hong Kong? So for the Hong Kong incorporation, you are not required to physically visit Hong Kong, and it can be done by online. However, the director, the signer, should visit Hong Kong for the bank account opening, and sometimes the bank will request the shareholder to visit too. So this is subject to the bank policy. Okay, so now we can take a look for the live question. Okay, this question is about the new regulation. Should I inform CR my correspondent address? And I am the director of the company. If you are the director of the company and then the correspondent address is seen with the registered office address, actually there is no action required by you. However, if the director correspondent address is different with the company registered office address, the company should deliver the notice with CR within 15 days once the particulars is changed. Okay, I think that's the end of our Q&A section. I hope today's webinar can help you to have the better understanding on Hong Kong company formation and how to maintain the company in a good standing. That's the end of today's presentation, and please feel free to contact us for any question. Thank you for your time, and we are PREMIA TNC. Hope to see you on next webinar. Bye-bye.